Hey, everybody. I'm TJ.
What's up, Freddie?
Hey,
did I go too soon? Sorry, my bad.
yeah, you did.
Okay.
Okay. That was well planned. Good job. Freddie thought about that all night.
It was all morning, really.
That was all morning, yeah. But anyway, I am TJ Majors, and I spotted the 88 Xfinity car this weekend and the 6 Cup car.
What's up, Freddie Kraft, spotter for Bubba Wallace, Kyle Sieg, and Doug Kobe this weekend. Did a little modified race.
Modified.
What's up, Casey?
Hey guys, Casey Boat here, and virtually joining us from some random house that has, turd and chickens or something like that. Where are you, Brett?
I just popped a bottle of champagne. Brett Griffin coming back full time into the Cup Series starting this weekend. You know, we're 8 races in, and some spotters just ain't making the cut. So I'm going to step up my game, and I'll see y'all at Martinsville, boys.
Let me ask you a question. You're in Myrtle Beach.
Question?
You're in Myrtle Beach.
I am.
Do you think it's a good idea to drink champagne?
No, because I don't usually do well with mimosas, but I nonetheless just popped a bottle.
How well were you doing last
April
night?
Fools of all the holidays.
Brett, how well were you doing last night?
I was doing really well. Mimosas at breakfast, and then a couple cold beers on the beach, and then a couple cocktails last night. And, man, you guys, I'm glad y'all got to race last night. There was a point I looked at the radar, and I was pretty worried.
Well, that pretty much sums up why your tweets were the way they were last night.
Was Brett going nuts on Twitter again last night?
I mean, he made a comment about, there's another commercial. This gives me a moment to, gather my thoughts. And I was like, your thoughts are already all over Twitter. So not really sure you needed that one. But anyways, we are back from I don't even know how to call this race. It should be a pretty light episode. I don't know what you guys.
It's called Richmond.
Richmond, yeah. Listen, I mean, to Brett's point about the weather, I didn't realize it was going to rain. I mean, I don't think it was really going to rain that night until Sunday morning. I woke up and I was like, oh, it's definitely going to rain.
There wasn't that big of a chance all week.
Yeah, but like you saw that it was going to kind of blow out of there, and I knew we were going to race at some point last night. But it's also gave them an opportunity to go to that wet weather package, TJ.
Yeah, which is always pretty exciting. I almost wish we kept it on the whole race. Might have been a little bit better. I thought the wet weather stuff went really well.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a step in the right direction. It definitely got the race started earlier. I think we were only early 15 minutes delayed. I just wish we need to figure out a way to clean up the cautions. You know, I didn't think I was asking about the tire wear because I know the lap time started to level off around lap 25. And that's when they immediately, there was really no warning for that comp caution. It was it's lap 25, we're throwing a caution at 30. You know, I felt like we could have probably carried that on a little bit longer and got it a little bit drier before we went to the slicks. But that was the only beef that I had. But then just the fact that we burned so many laps under caution, trying to dry pit road.
So I don't understand. I like the wet weather stuff. I thought it all went great. Everyone had way more grip than I think they thought they were going to have, which is good. So, because you don't want them all going there and wrecking. So, but I wish we could just transition into a dry. You know, they tell us instead of the 30 caution, just tell us, hey, from here on out, it's a slick tire race. You pit when you want. I know we would have had to focus a little bit longer on pit road to get it dry, but to me, it should be our choice at that point.
Let me ask you this, TJ, because you're bringing up a great point, and I think a lot of fans, including myself and guys like Jeff Gluck, industry guys, our struggle was, man, we lost a lot of time waiting on that transition, and then we lost even more time at the end of stage 1 waiting on another transition. So how do we fix that? Because obviously it's easy for us to bring a problem. What's the solution? And I mentioned last night on the teardown in the group chat, which I stayed up till 1 a.m. watching. Should we have a dry pit road speed and a wet pit road speed that is significantly lower that gives us the opportunity to come in and pit without having to stop the entire race and do what we did? Because I felt like as a fan, all the efficiencies we gained by starting the race kind of on time and with the wet weather tires, we lost waiting on those other 2 scenarios to play out. So, man, it was as great as it was to see them start and to see them 2 and 3 wide and racing their tails off. We kind of lost all that momentum when we had to stop the race to change tires and then hold the stage in to let us not finish under green.
I don't think you have to do a different thing. I think you just dry it more.
I think that what they needed to do was, let the teams dry the boxes while we're out there racing. like every team's got multiple fans in their box. Let them do that and just have non-competitive pit stops until I'd rather have them say pit road's open, non-competitive pit stop. You can do that in one lap versus we ride around there for 6 or 7 laps while they make a pass down pit road, and then it's still a non-competitive pit stop. At one point. So the second time they did it, they switched to a competitive stop. But I think you just let the teams dry the boxes. The pit road it was obviously wet, but you make a couple passes while we're out there parade laps before the race, and then it is what it is, and make it a non-competitive pit stop until you feel like it's dry enough to make competitive pit stops.
I just think you're taking all the fun out of it at that point. You're taking all the switching over, dry pit road a little bit more. Let the teams work on it. Let the jet dryers work on it, or the downdraft thing, and don't let the transition happen itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't you need the caution laps then for them to dry that portion of pit road what the cars were on while they were gridded?
I think if you know we're gonna have, could have a possibility of a wet stop there, I think the teams put more emphasis on it, and I think NASCAR puts more emphasis on it. If you're gonna do that, they probably could have made one more pass at some point there, and had a competitive pit stop then, because them deals with the teams working on it and what they did to pit road, it worked really well. So. But I don't want to stop the race at that point. I want to see who's going to be the first one to come down, and who's gonna take the leap. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of tense right then, because you don't know if you come out there and you're on stickers, you're going to be you're either going to be stupid fast for a little bit, or you're going to be off a little bit, but it's going to come to you.
Yeah, I think they're working in that direction. I think that they don't. This is only the third time they've done this ever, and this is the first time in a Cup points race. So there's a lot of unknowns. I think they're just trying to clean up and know what to expect before because I think Elton even mentioned it in his post race was they're working their way to this. They hope that one day they can be kind of like Formula One, where it's you just come down pit road whenever you want and put tires, wet, slicks, whatever you want to put on there, and do that way, which I think is obviously what we all want. But I can understand why they are a little timid to do it so far.
Here's my other question for you guys. We've all spotted and seen a lot of races, tens of thousands of races between the three of us. Have you ever seen a slick tire ripping around a racetrack with a track still that wet?
I was curious when they threw the yellow, because it was starting to change colors. You could see there was one lane that was drying up pretty good. It's like a lane and a half, I would say. But I was like, man, it's. I even talked to Bubba. I was like, do you think how's the track feel? I said, run the outside lane here, because we were running second and it was going to be non-competitive, so I knew we were going to come off second. I said, do you think we need to choose behind Larson, or is the top okay? And he said, no, the top's fine. He's like, he said there's 2 lanes we could work with right now. So Bubba was really confident. You've seen how hard they raced each other. Bubba and Larson really went at it for about 5 laps on that restart, and nobody was giving an inch really. So. They were confident enough about it to drive in there, so it seemed fine to me. But it looked wet for sure.
So it looks wet, and it is wet. But what I'm getting at is, man, we've spent all this time, all these years, trying to dry the racetrack 100%. And what I mean by that is the apron right up against the wall, the skid pads. Have we been excessive in our drying efforts? Can we go back green without having to track 100% dry? Because it sure as hell looked like it on TV.
I don't think the track was ever 100% dry last night, right?
No, it had those damp spots.
At the end, the whole bottom of the front stretch was wet.
It looked like Texas used to look when it would get wet.
Yeah. But then, to your point, if they tried to be a little bit less cautious on the drying up the track part, like at a larger track, would that cause more incidents, and then they'd be liable, and then you'd hear NASCAR or people talking shit about that? I feel like it's a lose-lose scenario.
Yeah, Casey, I don't think you can do it at a Texas. I don't think you can do it at a Pocono, a Michigan, or even a Charlotte. But I do think, after what I saw last night, man, we don't have to have Martinsville, Richmond, some of these tracks 100% dry that are slower corner speeds anyway. So, it was just really weird for me watching on TV, watching those guys go green. To Freddie's point, yeah, Bubba was on Larson's door, and he was within a couple inches of being in the part that was too wet. But never in NASCAR history would we have gone green with slicks on with a track that wet. So, when I watched the Kyle Busch thing play out, and I'm sure we'll get to that later, does he even hit the wall if the track's not wet way up there? So I applaud NASCAR for going back green and not attempting to finish drying the track. But I also am sitting at home going, man, what's the point? Like, we may as well just go green from now on. We don't have to have the track 100% dry.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I know you mentioned this a little earlier. Tell us what happened between Bubba and Larson, Freddie, in that
what happened?
low-key incident towards the end of the race.
Bubba f***ed up. I mean, he made a mistake. I think he owned it after the race that he made a mistake. He got loose. We were like catching Larson for fourth, I think it was, and finally got a good run off of two, got underneath him into three, and the two of them kind of, they're both really hard-nosed racers. They're both going at it. But yeah, he doesn't need me to come on here and sugarcoat it for him. He made a mistake. He knows he made a mistake. He went down and apologized to Kyle afterwards. Truex is probably still pissed, which he has every right to be. But it is what it is. And of course, like he said, karma bites us right away because it snowballs into a bad pit stop. And instead of a top 5 like we should have had, we end up with a 13th I think 13th. We come out 15th. So just a mistake that can't happen. And we'll just learn from it and try to move on. But yeah, it's just can't happen.
Before we move on to additional topics, I feel like we could talk about this guy all day with some of the spot off topics and how the finish turned out. But Denny getting his 5th win at Richmond. I mean, Toyota obviously, I feel like, had the strongest cars. Is it safe to say that, especially on a short track like this, they're the ones to beat moving forward?
Obviously they were all pretty strong last night. I think Truex, the 20, Denny. We were pretty good. They were all pretty strong. Joey was really strong last night, though. Larson was strong. He kind of got burned by that caution and never really regained the lead again. But moving forward, hopefully we just continue to get faster everywhere. It's like we talked about at the beginning of the year, like you're when you come out of the gate running as strong as you did at Vegas, you hope to build off of that, and then that's kind of I hope that's what we're doing right now.
Well, it should be interesting. Brett, I know you have shared your thoughts multiple times on Twitter. What did you think of the broadcast and how the race went from their perspective?
Y'all know what kind of shoe Denny wears, right? Jumpman. That's what he did.
Jeez.
He jumped, man. No, listen, the broadcast was a big miss at the end for me. It's very frustrating. It felt a lot like Daytona to be, 3.5 hours invested into a sporting event and to literally not get to watch the walk-off home run, which essentially is what we missed. Instead of seeing the swing of the bat and the ball coming off the bat, all we see is the ball going over the fence, and we have no idea, what pitch the pitcher threw and what did the hitter take an opposite field. Like, we literally went away knowing nothing. So I don't think the booth knew, to be honest with you, because they didn't bring it up. It was literally in Martin's interview when the fans and the viewers were rewarded with what actually Martin was upset about, which was Denny jumped the restart in Martin's eyes. So, man, I give the TV a B all night. I give it an F at the end. Very, very frustrating. I shared the link, obviously, with you guys this morning to make sure y'all saw what we all saw. We can't have people 3 and 4 hours invested into a broadcast to not understand and know what happened at the end. Very, very unfortunate.
I saw. I mean, they showed it once in the interview. They showed it.
Yeah, after they didn't show it
That's
live.
5 minutes later, Casey. You got to be kidding me! Like,
you're ridiculous.
No, he's not ridiculous.
You cannot show the viewer what happened 5 minutes later. Oh my God, I can't believe you take that stand.
We'll talk about it.
All I was saying was that they showed it. I didn't say that they like.
I don't see what the problem is. It was zoomed in on all the cars going through the middle of 3 and 4 when the race is going green.
Got a good look at Kaz Grala as the race went green.
What's the problem?
That part was a little bit of a struggle.
The details are so nice in those cars and the cameras. I mean,
Brett, I've seen a lot of, and you're the only one. You and Casey, you guys are. Maybe anybody else wants to chime in. Like, I just saw nothing but complaints about the broadcast on my timeline last night when I got on the plane. And I know we talk about commercials, obviously the camera angles we've harped on. Dale's jumped on it about tight camera shots. Like, what is it like watching at home? Because I just see nonstop complaining about it.
Man, I mean, here's what I learned is there is no way that Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick had any idea what happened at the end of that race. They were staring at a monitor, so was I, and they were calling what they saw. They weren't looking out the window. Jamie Little in her post-race, she caught a lot of crap because she didn't ask Martin, or ask Denny about jumping the restart. Well, she didn't know. She was probably behind a pit box watching on television, she probably was not standing on the wall staring at turn 4. That's how they consume it. They also have little bitty monitors rolling around with the RF cameras. So, like, I think fans, we're pissed off, and we should be, and we're pissed off at Clinton Kevin, and we're pissed off at Jamie Little. It's not their fault because they're looking at the same thing you and I are looking at, and it was not, despite what Casey said, it was not until Martin said Denny jumped the restart that they went back and had a replay they could lay in front of us. And honestly, Freddie, by then, old Brett Griffin watching in college, I would have already turned the TV off and went to a buddy's house. Like, I wouldn't have still been watching post-race coverage. So we've got to clean that stuff up. Like I said, it was the Daytona 500, the end of the Daytona 500 this year all over again. Super confusing.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate because, I mean, and it's not just random fans that I see complaining about it. It's people that I know are really invested in the sport and really enjoy watching the sport, and they're like, man, this is not good. It's really bad, actually. So I just wish there's a way, and I'm not trying to piss Artie off, our buddy, but it's just, it's got to get better.
Well, I know we'll talk about the finish a little bit more later. TJ, before we move on to spot on, spot off, what was the Xfinity race like working with Bubba Pollard?
Oh, Xfinity race was
It's a roller coaster day.
It was up and down. We put a lot of work in during the week of going over things with Bubba, just trying to, get it put into his head what the place was going to be like, what you have to drive it like, and it still was not what he was expecting, I don't think. But we started off good. He went out there and just kind of ran a normal lap, and in practice he ended up being fast in practice. So that shows that he was already really comfortable with the track itself, but the way you drive the track and the way it falls off in the Xfinity race is it's a lot. And I don't think he's, at first couple cautions, he's like, stay on me, I need to go a lot slower than what I thought I needed to go. He's like, I feel like I'm crawling, but I need to go even slower. And that's to me, that's one of his strengths when he can figure that out, and he did figure it out. But to see him, we got about 10 laps into the race, and he passed a couple cars, and you could tell that he was getting more comfortable with where he could enter, where he could be, and where he was supposed to be on the racetrack. But he just adapted very quickly, and we didn't have the greatest stops all day. I think we get to like 15th, and then would have he hasn't had a live pit stop really ever, I don't think. So. That was all new to him, so we lost a little bit on the first stop. I don't think he was turning the wheel when they were trying to change the tire, which just doesn't usually end up very good. And then the second one, I just think we just had a bad stop. We lost 4 or 5 both times. But if he could have maintained that 15th, 14th-ish and then restarted there, I really feel like naturally, without any other help or, different strategies, he would have probably finished in the top 10 still. And maybe if if that could have panned out a little bit better, he might have had a shot at a top 3, because the way the strategy fell at the end, we took tires on the last caution, hoping there wasn't going to be another one, and there wasn't. But if if one comes out, we're in trouble. But he did a really good job. If there's another couple laps, I think he gets around Jesse Love. He was getting ready to pass him, but he did a really good job of managing his car and racing the racetrack the last run, which a lot of people at Richmond, especially in the Xfinity Series, they have a hard time doing. And that track was pretty warm out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a good day for a race. It was a hot Richmond is a great racetrack. Yeah. Anytime the sun's beating down on Richmond or it's a little warm, that's a great racetrack, especially when you can spin the tires at the start finish line, which I don't think a
how
car
happy
can.
How happy were you when they told him to come in and get tires? Because I watched some other teams and organizations elect not to come get tires. When I spotted for new drivers, obviously Bubba Pollard's first ever Xfinity Series start, like you don't want to be on defense, man. You want to be able to go. You had to be like stoked when they said, "Hey, put 4 tires on it."
Yeah, I was kind of torn because he got stronger as the runs went on, and I kind of wanted to see it. I kind of wanted to see it play out and get some other cars that way. I knew we would get passed by cars with tires, but if we could have got 3 or 4 more cars naturally that were on our same sequence, and then the yellow comes out with 30 to go, we're literally going to be in the top 5 probably right then, and those other guys don't have any more tires. So we're going to be on offense at that point. But yeah, no, it worked out. I mean, you're kind of, once we went back green, you're just praying. Once I saw the white flag, I was like, thank goodness. because even a green white checker with no tires,
like 15 broke or something
but at that point, man, Chandler had already lapped so many cars. He had lapped everybody that had tires that still had tires laying. So, and talk about fast, Freddie. I mean, obviously you won this race a year ago with Chandler Smith. This kid's got 2 wins, 7 races into the Xfinity Series schedule. It seems like him and Austin Hill are in a different zip code in that series.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler is obviously, we know how talented Chandler is, at least I do. I hope everybody else has already realized it. If not, you're getting ready to find out. But yeah, he just in a fast race car. I mean, he was unbelievable yesterday. I think he was the best car. Him and Almirola were probably the 2 best. Almirola seemed like he faded a little bit towards the end. Chandler came on stronger, and then they had that pit stop where they put tires on, and Chandler, I mean, he cut right to the field, and he was probably, I don't know. I mean, he was back in the lead in probably 15, 20 laps, I feel like, from the back. And then he took off, and then, like you said, lapped up to, I don't even know what it was, 7th or 8th or something like that.
That's right in Chandler's. That's what he's really good at. That aggressive, you got to go right now. Honestly, kind of like Truck Series restart where you got to go. And he knifed through there, and he got to lead and never looked back.
I'll tell you who I was impressed with, and it kind of goes back to Bubba, who, I wasn't overly impressed with Bubba. Like, I mean, he did a very good job, it wasn't like he surprised me by any means, because I think that's what he's good at. He's good at managing tires. He's good at short track racing. But SVG,
he ran hard, yeah.
Like and we always say like the road course guys kind of lend themselves a little bit better to short track racing just because of the braking and stuff. But he ran around the top 10 pretty much all race. I forget where he qualified, but he seemed like he was up decent. And then they were a team that I didn't understand. Like, you've got 3 cars kind of running in the same pack, between Josh finally had a decent run. I think he finished 12th. Josh, AJ, and SVG all kind of were running together. Like, why do you bring one of them in and put tires on and let split your strategy and give yourself a chance either way? I didn't understand, but I thought I was pretty impressed with SVG's first short track race.
Yeah, what I saw with him was the ability to adapt and move around. Like, he didn't just run the same line; he was moving according to where the other chess pieces were going. And a lot of guys get stuck in a rhythm and they just stay in that same lane no matter what happens. And he was very versatile. And He actually, he was holding off the other 2 guys there for a while. I mean, we caught him, and we tried to pass him on the bottom, and, of course, we just passed 16. As soon as we got pinned on the bottom, here comes the 16 back around the outside of us, and we were literally in a colleague sandwich there for a while. But, no, I thought SVG did a really good job adapting to the track and learning the techniques of passing and rolling up and turning down on the exits. He did a really good job with that stuff.
So now that we're a few races in, is it safe to say Chandler and Austin are the 2 favorites for the championship, or do you think somebody else has a shot?
I mean, everybody's got a shot. Justin's going to find his form eventually. He's had some. He's going to win Phoenix until the left rear tire blows out. He'll find his way eventually. But yeah, I think right now, if you had to ask me, Chandler would be my pick to win the championship. He's just got so much raw talent, and he's like the problem. Chandler's problem is going to be he can be his own worst enemy at sometimes, and he worries about stuff that he doesn't need to worry about. And if he can clean that up and not have mistakes like he made at Coda, he's going to be really hard to beat.
That's going to be the thing with him. If he has any of those mistakes in the last 8 races, Austin Hill is going to sit there and he's just waiting for it to happen. Yeah. And that moment where Austin Hill probably lifts and lets a guy go wreck himself or something and takes advantage of it, that guy right now to me still could be Chandler. I think if Chandler, he needs to just control himself, like you said, at the end of races or whatever it's just worth it. Yeah. Is going for 5th or wrecking, better than than 7th or whatever. So I don't know. I think that's I guess we'll tell. Time will tell.
A big race within the race this weekend for Xfinity too. Obviously, Casey's very tied to that program, but $100,000 to the highest finishing qualified driver. That is a massive payday for teams and drivers in that series. These guys can't usually go out and win the race and win that kind of money. So, man, it really adds a lot to the show. And there's 4 really good drivers going for this $100,000.
Yeah. On that note, let's make picks for this weekend's Stash for Cash race. I believe it is Chandler, Eric, Jesse, and Parker.
I think I should get to go first since I'm so good at making picks lately.
Of course. Who is taking that $100,000 home?
Go ahead,
I'm going to go with I'll go with Chandler Smith. I mean, look, I spotted for him last year, literally 1 year ago this past weekend. And after the race, I called Chris Rice and I said, man, this kid has got it. Like, this dude can flat out race. And he was the highest finishing colleague racing driver in his Cup Series debut. You know, he beat the other two cars that night. Since then, Chandler and I became good friends. I've started helping him with some business stuff and actually started managing him in his career. So I would be very hypocritical to pick anybody other than my guy, Chandler Smith.
I mean, you obviously can't.
My guy.
Yeah, you obviously won't be picking.
He's my guy.
Freddie.
Denny was my guy yesterday.
Hopefully, unbelievable. That's why I want to kick Bubba's ass.
I don't know how you don't go with Eric.
But yeah, I say Eric would probably be my pick. Chandler, like last time we were here, he had to decide he wanted to get in a pissing match with Jeb Burton all night. So he's got to avoid that this time around. But yeah, I mean, Eric, like so many years of experience at Martinsville, he's going to be hard to beat, I would think.
So both of you guys are picking Eric.
I don't know how you go against Eric.
You can't. I mean, who was the other one? It's
Jesse and Parker.
I'll take Jesse just for fun. Jesse's probably going to run into some but we'll be fine.
Jesse put together a good race.
Yeah,
he did. He fell back a little bit. Fifth.
I guess he get top 5. Yeah,
yeah.
So that's good. He's actually done. I don't know. I shouldn't say I was not expecting a lot out of him because I had hold him in high regard and I want him to do well. But he's outperformed my expectations so far.
Well, he also reminded me that it's about 148 steak 48 dinners. So if he does win, dinner for a few weeks will be on him.
I seen he was there last night.
Yeah.
I think does he live there? I think he moved in.
I wouldn't be surprised if Chad will be there with him this week. All right, let's move on to spot on, spot off. The first topic, NASCAR should have allowed teams to choose when they switched between wet weather tires and slicks. Freddie.
I mean, spot on. I want it to go there. I want that to happen. I want that to be the case. I don't have a problem with them. This is the first time NASCAR Cup Series points race with this process. I don't really have an issue with them not doing it that way. But eventually, yes, I want the decision to be in the team's hands.
Brett.
I'm spot off because teams are going to pick the fastest tire. NASCAR just went ahead and picked it for them by saying, hey, we're switching over to slicks. What I am even more spot off for is the fact that NASCAR stopped the race at lap 30 to determine that. I'm on TJ's side with what he said earlier. Let the teams decide when they're going to put on the slicks and leave it up to them. Don't throw a full course yellow to do it because it negates everything that we've all gained. I mean, you watch it, Justin Haley and Clinton Kevin, man, they had full-blown I mean, especially Clint. He was so excited for all the dirt racers that were doing so well when the track was wet. Like everything they had gained was negated when the caution was stopped and equal opportunities were given to put, the faster tire on. So I'm spot off all around on the way that played out.
Is it the faster tire?
Who knows?
But that's the strategy of it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what comes
into
play, though.
We'll never know, Freddie.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I think that is we learned how to run 40 laps at Bristol, and we turned that into 70 or 80 eventually. And I don't see how the Cup teams, there's no way I don't think we couldn't handle or manage the situation. If you feel an issue, you hit pit road. Or, you ask your spotter, hey, how's the track look? Is it dry enough, do you think? I mean, that's something that can come into our play as well. If we have to be on top of things like that, we're going to have to get good at knowing when it looks good enough to put them on and keeping your driver where he needs to be on the racetrack. So I think the Cup teams can definitely manage it. I just think we need to make sure pit road's safe enough for it to happen. And I would put more emphasis on drying pit road before you go green so that it can naturally transition into a wet to dry race. I think it'd be a lot of fun. The unknown.
Yeah, I didn't understand why, it's raining and the cars are in the garage. And then as it starts raining, they push out to pit road. Like, that's a time I feel like leave the car or stage the car somewhere else so you can just work on pit road the way, we need to have that. Because that's the whole problem is the cars are on pit road so they can't dry it while they're doing pre-race stuff. And then that's why they got to kill all that time while we're rolling around before the green and then under them cautions. So I feel like maybe is there a way to stage on the front stretch or whatever it is, leave pit road open and be able to dry it the whole time while we're working there. But
they have enough, the equipment they have, if they made 3 passes down pit road as we're doing our first pace laps and got it really dry, and if we say, hey guys, cover your stalls up, this is, this could go from a wet, we're all going to have our stuff covered
Yeah.
No problem at all. But like you said, though, if we learn how to maybe park the cars a little bit better, or even if we leave them there. I mean, sometimes there's dry spots underneath the cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So get them out there, let them run 10, 15 pace laps so they have to get the pit road dry. So when we go green, we're going green. Yeah. We don't have this, we're switching. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be a pretty natural transition if we made pit road safe.
Yeah, because that's what they said on the radio. The reason the caution came out at like 65, right? 65, 64, something like that, and we were going to 70 for the stage. And immediately they said that they're bringing the Titans out to dry it, or the Jets to dry pit road. And the reason they gave was because they were putting the slicks on, and now they're just gonna open the potential up. Guys were gonna pit like certain strategies. You were gonna pit 40 or 50 laps into a run. So they knew the opportunity was gonna come up to have a green flag pit stop fairly soon. So they wanted to make sure that they dried it right then and there, and we're gonna be able to switch to competitive pit stops right then and there. So that's why we killed that time also.
It still was a little damp.
It was still pretty wet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't much different than that lap 30
you
deal.
could see the Jets. The Jets would go by, and like normal, Brett, if you've seen this before, like they would dry a streak, and then as soon as they kept rolling another 100 feet, that streak was back, the different color.
Yeah,
again.
It was just like damp in the air.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, we raced on that on the racetrack with no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I think that, and we would have been, we can talk about it all we want, but like if they did just say, hey, you know what, you guys can come down pit road and do whatever the hell you want, and somebody slid and killed the barrels at the end of pit road because pit road was wet, we'd be the first ones on here to kill them because they shouldn't have done that. And so I think the first time around, first oval, I think if this is a road course, they've showed that they're going to do this on road courses and let us pick what we want to do.
We've already done it at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, so it is what it is, but. I think for the first time first oval points cup race, I had no problem really with the format. I just wish it wasn't so drawn out.
Did they have any communication whatsoever with the teams when they made that decision to switch the tires up?
They announced it.
Oh, they didn't evaluate with drivers of, hey.
Oh, they would ask. They asked 2 or 3 times. What do the drivers think? And I don't think I saw any thumbs down.
All the drivers.
The drivers are ready. So I didn't hear any driver or anybody go complaining saying, hey, I don't think it's safe enough. Yeah. And we saw guys get out of the groove and go all the way up by the wall and still not wreck. So I think the track had plenty of grip in it no matter what.
Yeah, you could see, I noticed, when we had that restart and Bubba and Larson were racing the hell out of each other, there was one time where Larson, we finally got up just a quarter car width higher, and I could see the right sides touch where there was a little bit of color change, and we got loose. We got loose off of 4. But that was lane and a half, 2 lanes, 2.5 lanes off the bottom.
But you're also getting after it.
But he's also on the edge of pushing, trying to get the lead. So, but yeah, there was really no issues whatsoever from what I saw.
Another controversial topic from that race: the phantom caution for Kyle Busch scraping the wall killed race strategy. TJ, spot on, spot off.
Yeah, when they called the caution, I expected to look back there and see a car wrecked, and that wasn't the case. So, I don't know. I think with the weather and the track being a little bit damp still, I'm guessing that's why they were probably a little bit on edge. Well, I'm just saying, it did rain a little bit when we were still out there, but I'm just saying,
was it raining when he wrecked?
No, it was not raining when he wrecked. But I'm just saying the way the event was going, I don't feel like they were on with having non-competitive pit stops. I don't feel like they were pushing it. So, but I don't think it should have been a caution.
I'm spot all for it, man. It completely screwed up an organic strategy process playing out. Listen, he hit the wall harder than Haley Deegan hit it. But Dale Jr. said on our show a couple weeks ago, that we need to take into consideration which series it is when the caution is thrown. And this was just a little bit worse than Haley Deegan's. The driver drove off. I watched it very closely as he drove off his right rear. There was no debris coming off the car. There was obviously nothing coming off the wall. He didn't hit it hard enough. So this was one of those deals where they were button happy, jump happy. And man, they've let far, far, far worse not cause a caution to throw a caution for that.
Freddie, spot on, spot off.
What do you want me to say?
He slowed down to an unsafe rate.
You haven't kept quiet before, so
I I don't know, 2 weeks ago, guys creeping around there, that's no caution. This guy goes up. Soon I watched that because, like, I don't know where you were at on the racetrack, but I seen him get loose into one or whatever he did, and he chases it up into the wet. And we've seen it before, even when it's not wet, TJ. Once you get up high enough at Richmond, like you're just kind of along for the ride until you can get back underneath you. And I just watched him kind of just skate up the racetrack and brush the wall, and as soon as he touched the wall, put it out. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like it's but listen, to Brett's point, Dale's point of last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was a different race director last night. We had Tim Berman instead of Jason, and maybe that's just the difference in somebody pushing the button and not pushing the button. But you can't honestly tell me that needs to be a caution and the 77 doesn't need to be a caution. I don't give a shit which way it is, but it's one or the other. Like all we ask for is consistency, and we cannot get it. And the only way, and maybe it's to Dale's point, we need one guy in the booth to do it, and that was David Hoots 10 years ago, and maybe that's what we need to get. But obviously I know they want to train other people. You want to have multiple people that can do the job, but this is the problem when you have multiple people to do the job. Nobody knows when the caution's going to come out. And you talk about and you talk about, we talked about it last week. You didn't want to throw it during a pit cycle. Well, that is going to be the most exciting part of the race right there, because now you've got guys on different strategies. TJ, I think you were one of the ones that pit like 40, 50 laps into a run, right? So you're gonna two-stop that strategy. Guys like Larson, us, other guys are gonna one-stop it. So now, we're in position we're making time on the guys that pit already. They're getting ready to pit again in probably another 10 laps or so. So now they're going to flip it and come back and start chasing us down. That's going to be the most exciting part of the race, because at that point in stage 2, nobody really knew exactly what the best strategy was. And that was going to play out organically. And then whenever anybody saw the results of that, that's how they were all going to run stage 3, where there's going to be 2-stop or 1-stop. And now you throw a bullshit caution in the middle of that and ruin what was going to organically be the most exciting part of the race, just watching these guys pit again in about 10 laps or whatever it was, and then try to chase Larson, us, and the 48 and guys like that down. I mean, it didn't really ruin our race. Our car had enough speed to get back up there and mix it up. It killed Alex Bowman's day. He was going to run probably top 5 in that stage, and we never saw him again because he had to take the wave around on that caution. And so like, I just don't understand. I'll never understand it, but it is what it is, and I guess consistency is just completely out the window.
Another topic from yesterday, and this is probably one we'll spend most of the show on, spot on, spot off. Denny jumped the final restart. Brett, I'm afraid to start with you, but I will.
You don't know. He didn't see it.
He made sure he did after, because he tweeted out a million times.
Go ahead, Brett. Jump on this one.
Freddie, that was funny. Man, dude. This is a freaking debacle we're in now, because Josh Wise thought he'd chime in and say, oh, it's a soft box. It ain't a hard box. You can still kind of go whenever you want. They're going to give you some leniency. And so I don't know how Josh interprets boxes these days, but when I look at a box, you have a firm in and a firm out. And I am on the fence here. Actually, I'm not on the fence. I know that Denny went before he was in the box. There's no doubt about it. He went early. When you watch Martin's in-car, he went early. When you watch the TV replay 5 minutes after the race was over, he went early. When you go back on my Twitter timeline right now, he went early. But we talk about this all the time. At the end of the day, Denny Hamlin kissed a girl, got the trophy, and went home the winner. So, man, NASCAR, I don't know, Freddie, man. What do you think? I'm hearing some crazy on NASCAR right now.
Listen, Denny's so great. He can form his own box if he wants to. You know what I mean? Like, he'd go wherever the hell he wants. He could have took off middle of the backstretch for all I care. No, he definitely jumped the start. I mean, it was pretty obvious watching it live and then going back and see the replays. And TJ's got some points he can make here in a minute, because I know he went back and kind of looked at more of the SMT than I did, because I went to bed last night. But yeah, to your point, Brett, I don't think this is over yet. I think that there might be some interesting news coming out tomorrow in the penalty reports about this. But yeah, just some rumors that were flying around the group text
rumors get started
this morning. But it'll be interesting to see. But I mean, like we talked about unprecedented with Bubba, if what I'm hearing is true, it's definitely going to be unprecedented for sure. But TJ, now to your point, TJ, he took off early, right? I mean, I don't think there's a doubt in the mind that he took off early. Was there a reason?
Well, we saw it.
Was there a reason he took off early?
So I don't think you can flag Denny for it, because obviously SMT doesn't show the restart zone, so you can't tell, and leader fires first. So he's the leader of the race, so you can't tell. Obviously, he did fire first, but if you watch even Martin's in-car camera, Martin's laying back, and I don't blame. And if they go into turn one, Martin's getting ready to time that restart perfectly for the restart zone. Like, I mean, we go another half a car length, Martin's probably even with him at the line, and maybe even have a tire in front of him. If they go into the first corner, and Martin's got his left front in front of Denny's right front, Denny's not winning that race. So, it's just two guys, two veterans playing the game with each other, and we're supposed to be, when you come to that line, you're supposed to be even up. I mean, that's what they say all the time, even on the front row, right? Martin's not even. So I don't blame Denny for going early, because Martin's creating an advantage for him as the P2 car, and if Denny gets into that restart zone at all, Martin's going to have it timed right.
So you're saying he laid back on that restart, causing Denny to almost jump
if you remember last year, I forget what track it was, but Denny was running third or fourth, new tires. Maybe it might have been Kansas when Reddick won. Somebody behind Denny was laying back, maybe Larson, and Denny tried to combat that by laying back with him, and it screwed him. Like, he ended up not getting a good restart. The guys in front of him got away, and it cost himself a chance to win the race. And at this point, I think a lot of times you'll hear veteran drivers say, if you're the leader and you got the control car, if you're the control car, you want the advantage, go as early as you can, because that gives you the control of the restart like you've earned. I feel like the later you wait in the box, unless you start playing games with slowing down and stuff, that
doesn't work.
You're inviting the guy to have a chance. The earlier you can go, the better. This was probably pushing it, but if he sees him laying back, he's not going to give him the opportunity to. What's going to happen is Martin's laying back so he can roll to the line with more speed than
1
Denny.
mile an hour faster is all it takes.
And then that's just only gonna accelerate more and more as you get down further down the straightaway. So if that's what he did to combat it, I don't have a problem with it. But at the same time, we have rules for a reason, and he definitely.
But if you're gonna flag Denny, do you flag? You have to flag Martin.
That's my question. So I know NASCAR has tried to enforce laying back on restarts. Is that something where they just felt, both of them were almost at fault and they just let it go? Or is that something NASCAR should have really faulted them both?
It's possible. It's possible that I don't know.
You're drawing a pretty hard line in the sand with laying back, and I think they're both at fault right here, and they both try to create an advantage for themselves, and one guy's mad it didn't work and the other guy's happy it worked, and we're all sitting here looking at Denny and saying he jumped. But
are you self-policing this if you're NASCAR by disqualifying Denny Hamlin as the winner? Because y'all are fussing about Martin laying back. You're saying Denny went early. Two wrongs don't make a right. But the guy Joey Logano, who finished second, would be declared the winner if they had disqualified.
I think
Denny.
both
and
wrongs
Martin
made it right.
Fixes himself. Man, listen, I hear you from the world that we live in. You're saying it's okay that Martin laid back and it's okay that Denny went early and Denny Hamlin deserved a win. But as a fan watching on TV that has come over because you watched a Netflix show that does not think, a three-pointer is a three-pointer when the toe's on the line, why do we have a box if we're not going to enforce going inside of the box? We have too many rules as it is, and we go back to what Caitlin Vincie said a year ago on our podcast, which is it's really hard to be a NASCAR fan to keep up with all the rules. If you're a fan and you're watching this on television, this is a missed call by NASCAR. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't have called it, because God Almighty, we opened up Pandora's box on these restarts, but it is a black and white zone, and he clearly went before the zone.
So if Martin does that, ends up getting the lead from it, do you black flag Martin after he wins the race from the outside, from laying back?
Well, what I stated was a fact, which is you said Martin was laying back. We all agreed Denny went early. If you black flag Denny for going early, it fixes itself. Martin isn't going to win the race because he finished third or fourth or wherever he was at, pissed off. I
think if Martin's door-to-door with him right there and Denny takes off early, I think they call it. But I think it was pretty obvious that Martin's laying back a little bit, and I mean, I don't know. It's hard to
listen.
It's hard. You got 45 seconds from the time he goes. You don't even have 45 seconds. You got 30 seconds from the time he goes to say that he went too early and he's black flagged. And from what TV told us later, they never said the restart was under review. Was it under review on your NASCAR channel?
No, I don't know.
I know
I was three wide.
Yeah,
I wasn't listening to anybody. And like I said,
this is a sticky situation.
and I think, Brett, like to your point, I think that's why we may hear something tomorrow, because I think maybe they would go back and look at it and decide, whatever action they're going to take. So we'll see what that is tomorrow.
I think on super speedways, right? Like if a car goes below the yellow line, they've disqualified a driver right after the finish, so they technically
sometimes
could still do it, right?
Not late. No, I don't think they could take it away. But I mean, I think at this point, I think the win's going to stand. But it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. The car might be expensive. Another expensive trip for Denny.
Denny's going to love this show. Right now, Jeff Gluck's poll is at 52% say yesterday was a good race.
Really? Barn burner.
And 48% say no. If the drama between Denny and Martin didn't happen, do you think the tables would have turned and it would be an absolute no?
Let me ask you this: what would the percentage be if Martin won? 60-ish?
I don't think it's a big change.
I think it is.
So you
I don't think it's that big
you
of a
don't think
change.
the race was?
I mean, the race was. I'm sure it was very boring.
Throw out the ending. That race was not very good.
Yeah, I don't like it. Was fine for me. I enjoyed it because we were pretty good. The same kind of as Phoenix. I talked about, like, if you had a good car, you probably enjoyed that race. We had a good car, so we could pass people. Josh Berry was pretty good. He could pass people. You guys were getting up in there. Once they put tires on. But
you literally drove as hard as you could almost every lap. Still, I mean, you ran.
That's not good.
Driving like
as hard as you could every lap is not good.
Like you didn't have to manage anything. You went as hard as you could.
Oh, you're just saying you just drive as run.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
I think it was strategy.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely fall off, and that was the problem. That's what I had. That's why I was so mad about that caution, because I thought that was going to be a really exciting second half of that second stage, and it just got ruined. Then you put tires on everybody's car, and now we same thing. We go back to running as hard as we can.
There was fall off, but there wasn't enough, because we went pretty hard near the end there, and we fell off, but they couldn't pass us.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And it was Josh Berry. He couldn't get around us.
It was the same thing. It was the same thing for us. I don't remember when the hell it was. Maybe the end of the second stage. We would stay 2 car lengths behind Byron for 40 laps, and then finally with like 5 to go in the stage, we got away from him. We got around him and drove away by I don't know, half a straightaway in that 5 lap.
There was
period.
no management of anything. You could probably you could take the top 20 guys in this series and put them in each other's different cars, and it's going to run to the same spot. They're going to run to the max of that car. There's no, hey, I shouldn't spin the tire right here. I'm going to pay for it later. There was none of that in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't. I like I said, that's what was so aggravating about that caution, because I thought that was going to be a really exciting part of the race to see how it played out, and it got taken from you.
Martin Truex Jr.'s tantrum towards Hamlin and Larson was justified. Spot on, spot off, TJ.
I didn't really know what was going on. I looked down in turn 1, and I saw smoke. And I'm like still spotting at that point. I'm like, watch what's going on in front of you. I don't know what's usually when the checkered flag comes out, everyone just kind of slows down. And man, I was looking down there, there's smoke billowing and stuff. And I mean, he was mad. Martin probably should have won that race. I think that was more of his race to win the second half there. But some circumstances happened, and I think he feels like it got taken from him.
Yeah.
But that's racing.
I mean, I completely understand why. I saw him getting a lot of shit for being a crybaby and whatever last night.
I don't mind him being mad.
I was like, he should be mad. He was going to win the race. He was going to win the race. Then yellow comes out. He gets beat off pit road. Probably makes him madder. Then he jumps to start. Probably makes him madder. Then he goes into one, and the one thing I didn't agree with, or actually 2 things I didn't agree with him, I know he's just mad after the race and he's kind of venting. He's probably mad at Bubba. He's mad at Denny, whatever. But he goes into one. If you watch the replay of the restart, they get and he's on Denny's quarter as tight as he can into one and running him kind of down the racetrack. And then Denny washes up into him. Well, like, what did you expect? Like, you've got him so low on entry. Like, I don't think he had a choice but to if you enter on the bottom of 1 and 2, especially driving through a little bit of wet patch down there against the wall, it's probably not going to go well. But then down the backstretch, he just hangs a left on Larson.
Yeah, it's the last lap. But
then like last lap, he's down to come into the checker. He down to backstretch, he hangs a left on Larson. So Larson, like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna run him in the fence down the front stretch, and he's mad about that too. So I know he's just mad and he's just angry at that point. But I also don't like running into people under the yellow or after
Yeah,
after the
not
checker.
afterwards.
Like not afterwards. It's just not safe. You don't know who's got their belts undone, or I know they're not supposed to, but they do.
There's cars. I mean, I don't. If I'm on the inside of you and we go into turn one, I'm probably going to wash up a little bit too.
That's why we talk about like if you like
short track racing.
Yeah, short track racing. Choose rule. I don't care what the lanes are. Which lanes better. If you give somebody the bottom on a green white checker at a short track, you're asking for something like that to happen. And again, I didn't think it was so egregious that it didn't knock Martin back 5 rows.
That's why the restart is so important. That's why Martin laying back a little bit is so big, because if he gets a foot in front of Denny's tire, Denny can't, or even if they're dead even in the corner, Denny can't hit right front to left front. He'll wreck on the inside. So if Martin can create a little bit of advantage right there, like 1 foot, and he's going to beat Denny.
And to your point, if he does get that nose out event, like what's he going to do? He's not going to give him room down there. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be on his door as tight
Denny's
as he
going to
can.
have one car with him like 2 inches.
Yeah. So it goes both ways, but I get why he's mad, because he's mad because of what happened with Bubba. He's mad because he was going to win the race.
Yeah.
And
I don't blame him.
unnecessary caution came out. But then after that, that's just racing, I think.
Brett.
He had 3 things go really, really wrong. Bubba wrecked Larson. Man, I was even
Spun him
debating
out.
whether or not that was. Well, it drew a caution, which I was literally sitting there watching, and I'm like, man, is this really caution worthy? He spun him down. There's nobody in harm's way. He's continuing on. But nonetheless, that caution clearly brought out the pit scenario. Martin Truex didn't win the pit scenario. Martin Truex didn't win the restart scenario. Martin Truex didn't win any scenario that helped him win the race at the end after leading over 100 laps. So every single frustration that Martin Truex felt, he absolutely deserved to feel that way. I couldn't imagine being him as crew chief, his spotter. It sucks for his pit crew, because obviously they got their butts kicked on pit road on that one stop. And, man, that's all it takes. I mean, there's Denny Hamlin riding around. Denny was running 18th early in the race. Nothing great. Next thing you know, you look up and he's 6th. Next thing you know, you look up and he's 3rd. Boom, the caution comes out. Boom, he comes out with a lead, and it's like, man, this guy's home track. Good luck beating him, and you don't beat him. So Martin 100% deserves to feel the way he felt. Him and Larson in a pissing match was just all those things that mounted up. So that's what makes NASCAR great. That's what makes 49% of the people vote this was a good race, because I liked the race at Richmond. I thought it was an okay race. It wasn't any better than Phoenix, if I'm being honest with y'all. But that certainly helped people vote yes.
2 shout-outs. I always say that Denny's great. If I continue to say Denny's great, I'm going to have to say his pit crew is, I don't know, phenomenal, marvelous, terrific, whatever the adjective is. Their stops last night. The last stop was 8.69. It was like a second faster than Truex's. 9-1, 8-7, 8-7, 8-4, 8-8 were their competitive pit stops. Holy like, that's unbeatable, really. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then Gabehart, you talk about Denny running mid-pack. I think the 11 was the first one of the first ones to come in that state. When we were everybody's deciding whether it got 2 stop or 1 stop, he was one of the first ones to come. So that jumped him some of the track position there. And then, I mean, he makes a call that not that I didn't agree with, because he knows a hell of a lot more than I do. But he stayed out long. And, he pit probably 10 laps after us on that last pit stop. And I was like, man, I don't know. Is 10 laps really going to make a difference? And he hawked us down from over a straightaway back, went right by us, ran he ran Larson down, ran the leaders down, and then he kind of stalled out a little bit there. But, I mean, just like he was going to run 4th or 5th and was easily going to run 3rd. So, I mean, great Gabehart just called a great race to put him in that position. The pit crew does an amazing job to get him to lead, and then he capitalizes on it.
You bring up a good point, though, right there, Freddie. Like, Martin Truex essentially lost the lead of the race to Kyle Larson on pit road earlier in the night. And he went in, man, and just dive bombed him and retook the lead, which we didn't think was necessarily going to be easy given how important, clean air is there. So I think all those things just add to Martin's fire of why he was so upset. I mean, he was deservingly going to win the race until you read Kyle Larson. So congrats, Freddie, for the whole thing.
No, my bad.
Your point around pit crew members, obviously Denny and Martin are teammates. Is there drama, or what is it like on the JGR side, like having to pick your pit crew members? And obviously Martin's probably not thrilled that his pit crew wasn't as quick as Denny, and I'm sure there's more to it between Ty and Christopher as well. How does that work?
I mean, I just think that them guys are clicking. You know, you move parts and pieces around just like any other sport. You know, some guys, you know, it's not always the whatever it is. Denny's also the flagship guy over there. He's been there the longest. He's got the most wins, I think. I'm sure. You know, so if you're seeding it and you got 4 great pit crews, I would imagine the best one goes to your guy that's been there the longest and goes down from there. However you want to do it, but. I don't know that it's necessarily like the 5 best guys they've got are Denny's guys. I think it's just the way they line up and click with each other. You know, they were. I'm assuming these are the same guys as last year. I don't know that for a fact, but they weren't like this last year. But this team this year is unbelievable. Like they do it every week. It seems like. So for them to shine right here and get him to lead and him to capitalize on it just furthers the point of they've been easily the best pit crew on pit road this year. Wouldn't it be great if we all had a voice in our head telling us when a pothole was coming up or helping you parallel park without curbing a tire? You know, like having one of us in your ear each time you drive, your very own spotter. While you may get tired of hearing us talk, we know you won't get tired of eBay Motors.
eBay Motors helps everyone from a young driver just starting out to the most advanced car enthusiasts to even us, race team spotters. You can count on them to keep your car in peak condition and help fix all those dents and dings that may come along the way.
I remember when I just got my first car, I was so careful driving it around and making sure it stayed in pristine condition. Unfortunately, the inevitable happened and we needed to make a repair. Back in the day, I wish there was a resource like eBay Motors to help me find the part and product I needed to get the perfect fit and perfect repair. It may come as a surprise, but I wasn't always this car savvy, so a site as easy to navigate as eBay Motors would have been a lifesaver.
eBay Motors is here for you no matter what you're looking to do. Whether it's a unique customization or a regular maintenance need, eBay Motors has you covered. Go check it out yourself and see why they are the preferred marketplace.
Another cool thing that's available to everyone are the helpful DIY guides and blogs. Everyone can find something to check out and learn more about their four-wheeled best friends. eBay Motors is a community full of people that all have the same goal, keeping their ride or die running like new.
With over 122 million parts, you can make sure your number one ride or die stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back.
Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash.
Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. We know you fans had plenty to say after the race last night, so let's hear a few reaction theater calls.
I'll bet they loved the race.
I bet they hate my guy.
Or you.
Or me.
Damn. Just damn. That is the first time I think I've ever seen somebody throw a bumper. My God. Amazing.
I saw him. I didn't know what he was doing because I saw him, last week or a couple weeks ago, Justin wrecked, and I saw Justin take his bumper cover and launch it into his own back window just because he was angry at Phoenix when his car wrecked. The tire blew out and he really cost him to win. But he, when I saw him walking down the track, I'm like, was he just taking that back to the garage with him? Because I didn't think anybody was stupid enough to actually go back towards cars again. But he was. But it was funny because I've actually had experience with this, quitting this exact team for reasons where your driver might do something stupid or say something stupid. And I thought I got this audio from their spotter who actually, I think he quit mid-race, or I think he quit maybe right here. So let me play this real quick.
I'm literally going to shut my shit off. Like, that's unnecessary. That's so stupid.
It goes on for a while. I don't have it's not cut clean enough for me to but he did. It goes on for a while. And he makes sure he lets Dawson know that was pretty much the dumbest thing he's ever seen. And I didn't get to see it live, or I didn't get to see a replay. I guess he just went in there and wiped him out. I didn't did you see it?
Joey slid up in front of him off of turn 4 kind of, and Dawson just got into him right around before the start finish line, and the rest is a bumper cover.
Let me tell you what I called a bunch of shit for. I had never heard of Dawson Cram. And Freddie, I know that does not surprise you, knowing that it's me. But I tweeted that I never heard of the driver, I never heard of the spotter, and I never heard of the crew chief. And people were like, oh, you're an idiot. Joey Gase has been around forever. Well, I wasn't talking about Joey Gase. I was talking about the clown that brought out the caution. Who the guy is the guy that wrecked Joey Gase. But, man, now I have heard of Dawson Cram. People said he had 50 starts. And by 50 starts, I thought they meant Xfinity starts. Turns out he had like 16. But when you have 0 top 10s in your career and you've been riding around in the back, I'm not going to have heard of you. People are like, oh, you got to pay more attention to the little guy. I don't have to pay attention to I pay attention to what I want to pay attention to, and it's the people that run up front. So if you want me to hear you, run up front.
I seen you pissed off that Outback guy.
Full-time
yeah.
spotter right there.
Who's the Outback guy? What does that mean?
I can't see.
We are not getting a blooming onion anytime soon.
Yeah, well, you just cost us a blooming onion for sure. I think he worked. I don't know. He used to work at Outbacks. He does work at Outback.
I don't know.
He ran a truck race or something sometime. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not even gonna say.
I
it.
know.
But yeah, it was.
I can buy my own blooming onion. I don't need his bill.
He might bring it to you.
Maybe somebody should take away that champagne that's right in front of you. Let's move on to the next call.
Hey, Freddie, I guess this one's for you. I'm not really a Bubba fan. Don't mind him at all. Not my guy. But my 4-year-old sitting here with me for probably the first time ever watching a race, and he recognizes this McDonald's car battling Kyle Larson. What do you say, buddy? Go McDonald's, go?
Go McDonald's, go.
There you go, Freddie. You got a fan, I guess.
There we go. We just got a
that
Happy Meals. That
was that
That must
before?
have been the early Larson battle, not the
Yeah.
late one.
I was hoping
gonna
for
say.
more
That
of
kid
Freddie,
was- that-
you're an idiot.
That kid was MFing us later, probably for costing his buddies the race.
Da-da-da-da-da.
You guys, TJ Majors especially, you and Bubba Pollard were such a great duo. You ran through Richmond like it was nothing, man. And the way you settled him down and told me hey, that's no problem. Just keep going. That's how you roll, man. I can't wait to see what Bubba Pollard does after this. And I can't wait to see who else is in that 88 car. And I'm especially intrigued about North Wilkesboro with Butterbean and the 03.
Blake, was this you? I mean,
Yeah.
he's obviously a late model fan. But Brady was
Yeah.
just calling about Bubba's good run and how great TJ is, which that guy
Look, Bubba's a good
that
short
guy
track
must have been
racer.
drunk.
TJ is so great, they moved him to part-time in the company. That's how great he is.
TJ chose part-time over full-time, just so you know.
Look who's talking, Brett.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know if y'all can see my face right now, but I'm laughing so hard.
I can't see
We
you,
can't,
thank
yeah.
God. But yeah.
I forget we're on a budget on this podcast. We can't afford a monitor. That
Oh, you're seriously.
maybe Mike Davis will help us out on that. I'll call him after the show. Tell him I'll take a pay cut to get us a monitor.
Let's move on to
Actually,
the
we'll
next
cut
one.
Casey's pay to get a monitor.
Is it, maybe we should, I mean, that 88 car is running again this week.
Who is driving it this week?
Carson Quapple.
Carson, that's right. Carson Quapple.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Missing
Dude, I
a
think that
Cars
kid,
Tour
I think he's a
race.
big deal.
He's
I
been-
think
yeah.
you're-
Big
for
deal.
it.
I think he's got it.
You think so?
I do.
I know
Am
you watch.
wrong or
I know
right?
you watch a
We're
lot of
gonna
Cars Tour
I was
races.
going to say, is this the
I mean,
ARCA race that you spotted? Or
It's all my homework I've done.
I know you. Catch
Again,
up. I know you
guess
don't
what?
miss the race.
I've heard of this guy because he runs worth the That's why I know who Carson Quapple is. If I didn't, I'd say he was Carson Kvapple. I wouldn't even know how to say his name.
Yeah, and like to Casey's point, actually, and Blake put in our chat there that he's a I think 2-time champion. Is that right, Blake? 2-time defending champion of the Cars Tour, and he's going to miss a Cars Tour race this week to run that. I don't think it's out of the question that he could probably still win the championship, but it's obviously, but it's he's forfeiting that race to go and chase this bigger dream for now. So it's good luck to you guys this week, and
this is another very strategically given race because Bubba fits Richmond the way that the way it drives, and Carson has been very successful and ran well at Martinsville. So I think he'll adapt pretty quickly to it, and I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun.
Wow, NASCAR. I am loving this Richmond race. This is amazing. I'm so glad you started on time so you could stop. And you could start. And you could stop. And you could start. If you're going to do this many parade laps, start throwing candy out for the kids. And I love the new spin on pit stops, ARCA style, all the time. Why should we compete in the pits? Go NASCAR!
Brett, the guy wants them to start throwing candy out because we run too many pace laps or parade laps under yellows and stuff.
he said, "I'm glad we started on time so we could stop and then start and then stop and then start."
I think that guy was in the house with me watching. That was pretty funny.
And he said he liked the ARCA pit stops where they don't matter. Was that you?
Yeah. Listen, that was. It is what it is.
Not wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
The best battle of the night has been between NASCAR and TV trying to win Brett's What an Idiot award this week. TV goes to commercial 13 laps into the race as the best racing in years occurs at Richmond, but then proceeds to show non-competitive caution laps for an eternity, to then cut to commercial when it goes back green. But NASCAR screams, "Hold my beer." They start the race on wet weather tires, but then demand the track to be 100% dry after less than a full stage. They dictate teams must run wet weather tires, but then tell them that they have to switch to slicks. Let the teams and drivers decide. Don't worry, though. TV tries to overtake NASCAR's stupidity by doing a feature on pit crews before a non-competitive stop. Hold up. NASCAR tries to take the lead after declaring a non-competitive stop will now be a non-competitive stop. 300 laps to go. I wish sports betting had a in-race betting for how many more stupid decisions NASCAR and Fox would make. I don't know what they'd make the total, but I'd bet the over. Also, Brett, hope you're recovering well from getting your short curved pit road strengthened and lengthened. Holla.
What?
Casey, would you like to? Casey, would you like to rebuttal what this guy had to say? I would love to hear it.
Which part? He had a lot to say.
Yeah, and he was right on every single bit of it.
I mean,
listen, man. The sanctioning body has sold their soul to the devil. TV tells us we're going to race on Easter. We say okay. TV tells us, go lay an egg. We try to go lay an egg. Like NASCAR has got to hold the network's feet to the fire starting now. They have to listen to everything that caller just said and go to the TV network and say everything he said is not acceptable. Period. Sorry. It is what it is.
That was the most well thought out, written. I don't know. It sounded like he was reading a script. A call.
I texted to him.
No, he would have added more curse words if it was from you.
He's not wrong on any fronts.
I mean, I agree. I think the one part. So, Brett, I don't know if you were following Twitter and the broadcast at the same time. Like, I mean, obviously there's going to always be a delay, but how can you possibly use that delay when they're trying to figure out what happened, to your point, around Clint and Kevin? Like, how did they use that to be able to provide the right information without having it, right?
They should not be delayed. We should have saw the restart. That's very plain and simple. That's what I'm saying. NASCAR needs to go to the TV partners and say, yes, you've paid all this money for this, but this is our product. We're the governing body. You're going to cover. I mean, every single thing that guy just said was a warranted complaint. And as a viewer, he should not have that many warranted complaints on one broadcast. Things are going to go wrong. I get it. But he was 100% spot on with what he said. And we, being NASCAR, we need to listen to that guy, because even looking at the attendance yesterday, it was garbage, right? I'm not hiding the truth. It was maybe 30% full. Sponsors like Xfinity, sponsors like Monster, and sponsors like Coca-Cola, and OEM partners like Toyota, they get free tickets. And I have a friend that was given a lot of free tickets, and he couldn't give one single ticket away because everybody said, no, man, we're not interested. It's Easter Sunday. And I know, listen, man, last night Jordan Bianchi was on this long rant about how it's okay to race on Easter, and he's right. It is okay to race on Easter. But you need to realize when you race on Easter, no matter where it is, if it's Bristol, if it's Martinsville, if it's Richmond, if it's Charlotte, nobody in the South is going to go. Because when I grew up, there's four things you did on Sundays. You went to Sunday school, you went to preaching, you went to grandma's house for lunch, and you turned a NASCAR race on at 12:30. And those days are gone. When Easter isn't a sacred holiday, it's gone. So, yeah, Jordan, we can race on Easter Sunday, but you better be willing to do it in front of nobody, because that's what we did last night. And I hope the ratings were good. I really do. I hope the ratings were up 100%. But from an attendance perspective, nobody's going to go on Easter Sunday in the South. It ain't happening.
Yeah. And to circle back to TV stuff, I just don't know. I don't even know who this falls on, who decides these cutaways, but like I seen a lot of people complaining on my timeline about they're battling for the lead, and we cut to the booth because I think Keelan might have been in there.
He was. And
then there's a battle going on later in the race, and they cut to a comparison of COTA pit stops for some reason. Like I just don't understand. It's like they're filling time that they don't need to fill. I don't know what they're doing.
I think at that point there was nothing exciting going on in the broadcast. Like, I don't know
from what I was told, they cut away.
I'm pretty sure passing for second's exciting.
Yeah, they cut away from a battle for second to show the booth. Like, I don't know why that would happen ever, especially in a race where we don't have a lot of passing.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of battles happening. Like not up in the front like that.
200 laps into this race, probably the worst called race I've ever seen. This race director couldn't run a drive-through at Bojangles, let alone a NASCAR Cup Series race. Wallace.
200 laps in. I don't know. I mean, they had a bad caution call, and the front load was a mess because of their tires. But I didn't remember anything.
Honestly,
else.
It went pretty smooth with the rain tires.
I mean,
what they're complaining about though is the fact that they threw a caution and said come in and put slicks on. They threw a caution, and Freddie, to your point earlier, it wasn't 5 to go in the stage; it was 7 to go in the stage. We're all assuming pit road opens, we get a 3-lap shootout to end stage 1. That didn't happen. So like I think that's what this guy has a lot more. Listen, you guys, y'all are in the middle of the race. You're worried about your team, your driver. When you're sitting on the couch, being a couch racer like I was, you consume this thing completely differently.
Yeah,
I was expecting a restart.
Me too. Like I was angry because we were running second, and I was like, "Damn it! Now we're gonna have to pit because you're gonna flip the stage at that point because you want to get the best finish possible." And I was like, "Now we're gonna have to forfeit these stage points because we got to come in, and I don't know how many guys. I'm sure guys are gonna stay out to get points." So I was kind of angry, and then they're like, "Roll the jets down pit road." I'm like, oh, "Yeah, we're gonna get pit stage. Like we're not gonna get restarted here." So as soon as they called that out, I knew we were gonna go to the end of the stage. So. I get it for sure. That stuff was kind of, like I said, long and drawn out, and I wish we could do a better job with that, but I don't. They were kind of in a box, I felt like.
It's 255 laps out of 400 right now. Holy if they could throw, more commercials, that'd be awesome, because I totally like watching the commercials over the race. Give me a break.
You got it.
That's Buttercraft.
It's not like you missed anything.
But still, it's just that's all I see is harping on commercials and commercials and commercials. So I don't know, obviously I'm not watching them, but it's just that's my timeline is full of I'm tired of seeing commercials. My text messages when I get on the plane are just you won't believe how many commercials were in this race. So it's I know you got to pay the bills, but I don't know. There's got to be a happy medium somewhere.
I feel the same way when I watch a football game though too.
I don't.
I feel the
they
same
get a
way.
commercial when there's timeouts and TV timeouts. They don't miss action on the field.
Well, yeah, they
It's
never miss
completely
action on the
different
field.
But
viewing
there's
experience.
less in an
And
NASCAR race.
NASCAR is trying to do more, i.e., with stage breaks to help us prevent that. So there has to be a better way to balance it because this guy's not right, man. I'm watching. I flipped over from the NC State ass whipping that they put on Duke for all you Duke fans, spelled D-O-O-K. I flipped over and I see this crazy, amazing race going on, and immediately went to commercial. And I'm like, it's lap 13. What are we doing? So these fans are not wrong, man. I'm telling y'all better quit listening to your fan council and start listening to what people are saying on the show because they're right.
Hey, Brett.
Yeah.
How many times you yelled Roll Tide the other night?
A bunch. I hate Clemson. I'm glad they lost. Jay, I'm sorry that you're part of a losing organization, but that happens. Everybody that, I think every team that wears orange is officially out.
Isn't there that website, didDukeWin.com or something? You ever seen that? You ever been to that?
No.
Yeah, just go to, and then it always comes up, and now it'll probably say no. You know what I mean? I used to send it to Hovis all the time because he was a Duke fan.
And I know we're not a basketball podcast, but tonight Iowa plays LSU in the women's, and I cannot wait. I hope Caitlin Clark hangs 100 points on LSU. I cannot stand Kilmulkey. Actually, I hope LSU wins so we can beat them by 40 in the finals, whatever. Freddie, I'm sorry I got off topic.
It's okay. I love it.
It's a first.
Okay, update. It's lap 261 out of 400. And I'm getting blitzed off these Trulies. Oh, yeah.
What did he say?
Brett, stop calling in.
No kidding.
He said,
What did he say?
He said, I'm getting blitzed off of these Trulies. That sounds like John. This was John's birthday weekend. His birthday was Saturday night. I wonder if
It's his birthday month.
John, yeah, birthday month. John and Trulies and White Claws for some reason do not mix. The guy can pound beer with the best of them. He starts drinking them things and he blacks out all the time. So this might have been John calling in, but boy, at least hopefully you're feeling better today, buddy. Whoever you were.
Oh, tons of great calls as always. Don't forget our number 704-802-9572. Send us a message whenever y'all would like. I mean, keep them coming because they were great this week. Another way to get a hold of us is by using hashtag AskDBC on Twitter. This first question is from Leighton. Why didn't anyone in the back half of the top 15 take 2 tires and give themselves a chance to win at the end? Feels like the risk would have been minimal since they were running back there anyways.
They weren't going to win.
No.
They were going to go to the back. That's why they didn't do it. It was just, you couldn't, I don't think you could do it.
You probably would have got wrecked.
I was surprised Moore didn't try it though. Like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, I mean,
I tweeted it. I think you take 2 tires here if you want to give yourself a chance to win.
Like a Noah probably could have been.
It's a 2-lap race. If you start with in first and they wreck after the caution, or they wreck after you take the white, I mean, you potentially could win the race if you had a great restart.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I feel like you're at risk so much, especially that place. How many times we've seen guys get run over and wrecked, and there's not that many cars in the lead lap. I think there was 15-ish probably.
Dude, you had so many laps on your tires, you weren't winning.
Yeah, I mean, and you were, like TJ said, the odds of you getting wrecked are through the roof, and now you've thrown away a top 15 and end up 30th or whatever.
What do you have to lose? A race car, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, I seen. I'll give old Tampa Tim's a shout out here. He had bet. One of the bets was over under 0.5 cars running less than 200 laps. Everybody ran the whole race. I think the most was like 3 laps down. I think was LaJoy who finished last. So if you wreck there on a green white checker, you're finishing last. So. I know it's a risk versus reward thing. You weren't going to win the race like that, and now you're putting yourself at risk of really, really hurting yourself.
That should be a sign right there to me too. That if
nobody falls out of the race,
yeah, if there's that means these things are not hard enough to drive, and there's not enough. I don't know. Bristol just set the bar super high for short track racing in general for me now.
So you bring up a point right here, TJ. Casey, give me 2 seconds.
You're good.
I feel like, to TJ's point, driving style should dictate tire wear. And the way we're laid out right now, lap count dictates tire wear. How do they go back? This is what Goodyear needs to be challenged with. You're building soft tires. You're building tires with fall off. How do we go back and make the driver have to manage the fall off versus the lap count? So, I know y'all know what I'm saying.
So apparently, I think for this tire, it was a tire that is fairly soft, but it just they've added to it. It's got more depth, I think, to it. So you don't get to the end of it. You know what I mean? So,
so you're saying the stagger's bigger? You're saying the tire's bigger? What does that mean?
It's just got more. I think it's just thicker. Like, I don't know if it makes it a bigger. I don't know if it makes it a bigger diameter tire, which I don't think it probably does.
Just more to wear, you're saying?
Yeah, there's more to wear to it. So, I mean, we need to get to the end of it. I mean, when you saw why did guys have to manage their tires at Bristol? Because they got to the end of the damn tire.
Yeah.
And we're not getting close. I mean, we probably could have ran a whole fuel run easily on this tire. Yeah, but everyone's falling off at the same pace. Like, you had cars, you would catch a car. Brett, we had the deal where we get 15 car lanes clear. We get around a guy and we're clear in front of us. We run a tenth and a half, 2/10 faster than the car in front of us. We run him down. We run the exact same lap time as him. And as soon as we move up and we get a little bit of a run, guess who moves up in the next corner and takes it all the way?
They do.
Yeah, and then the nose slides out, and then you're done. And there's no punishment for getting closer to the end of that tire. There's no, how we used to watch Tony, all these guys that are really good at Richmond, they'd run like they were like almost down by the pit wall or exit of 4. Like, they're down there because that's where they're not spinning the tires. There's none of that right now. They're sliding out to the wall more than I thought. So the only reason you run low out of 4 is if you're crossing somebody over and you ran up in the middle of 3 and 4. Otherwise, you're not hunting that grip like the Xfinity guys were. You're not. If you notice the Xfinity race, those guys that would discipline themselves and get down there and drive straight out to the start-finish line every lap, those were the guys that moved forward at the end because you could wear them out enough to where there was an advantage, to saving your tires. We just don't get close enough to the end of the tire to really hurt it. I mean, there's guys that that Xfinity race, the end of the run, that were struggling. We never had that bad. I don't think the Cup cars had it to that extent.
No, and
you could tell it on TV.
You have fall off, but then, like we said, the crew chiefs are so smart that I think the pace was a lot faster practice wise. Like when we fired off, I think we were we were probably
the pace in the race was way faster.
Yeah, it's like we were three quarters of a second faster than what we anticipated going there. I think obviously new package, short track package, so that lended itself to the second stage. People, everybody was going to run the first stage out. It was only 70 laps. There was no benefit to pitting there. Obviously, we had another, with the wet tires and stuff, it altered that. But the second stage, I think there's a lot of unknowns about should we pit twice. Last year, it was clear everybody should pit twice every stage. And then this time you go back and it's like, okay, well, which way should we go? So then, that's why that second stage is going to be big. But then the tire wear doesn't matter because everybody's going to, by the time the third stage comes around, everybody's going to know which strategy is the best one. And I think it was the first green flag stop in the second stage. We cycled through in maybe 3 laps. The whole field had pit under green in about 2 or 3 laps. So everybody saw, okay, we're going to run about 50 or, and then somebody's going to come. And then once he come, we all got to come because that guy's going to have a big advantage. And we all came. And so you see the wear's there, but then it doesn't really matter because we all just pit together. Eventually, everybody knows what strategy's faster and you kind of lose the coming and going.
We're going back to Richmond in August, right? Is this the last year we see 2 races at Richmond based on what you guys saw last night?
I don't know. I mean, from what I saw at Bristol, that tells me that any race can flip a switch like that. It's a huge difference. If we would have went and saw something where we started seeing guys have tire trouble and you just didn't really know what was, I know you can't have the unknowns every single race, but if you start having things like, hey, watch this guy, man, he's running too hard, that's going to change. You're going to have more passing because you're going to have guys that are like, okay, well, I'm going to be smart here. Let this guy go. Like guys could drive around each other at Bristol like nothing because there was different mindsets. Everyone had a different mindset on what they could do and what they could manage. And man, that was fun to watch. Yeah. I think the Easter date is going to be a tricky one. There's only, I think, if I am correct in assuming what they want to do for the Easter weekend, there's only 3 or 4 tracks you're going to race at. It's going to be Martinsville, Richmond, Bristol, maybe Darlington. I don't think they're going to move. It's close to home.
Please don't give that day to Darlington.
Yeah.
Please don't.
So those are the places where they can logistically. And again, shout out to the teams this week. A lot of guys went home Saturday night, flew back Sunday afternoon. The garage closed early Saturday, opened late on Sunday. So he gave guys opportunity to be home with their family. I think that schedule lays out pretty good for Richmond. So I would assume this race is back. And then I don't know about
why not move it up a day.
Because you see the TV numbers have been great, and that's all they're worried about. You see other sports, everybody. There's basketball games all day on Christmas. Obviously, we all watch football on Thanksgiving. People know games on Christmas. People know, people know that people are home celebrating a holiday together. They want to put something on TV for them to watch. I don't fault them for that. It's just you're trying to capitalize. And to Brett's point, this is kind of a sacred holiday in the South for sure. But it's just
it can't always be about max ratings though.
Yeah, well, it is, unfortunately.
I mean, it can't always be that way.
So Brett, to that point, what would dictate it? Like if the ratings come out and they're mediocre for an Easter weekend, like do you think that changes or do you think it's pretty much set?
Listen, if Fox hits the button, whatever the magic button is that they press, and they come up and they're in black on revenue and they're in black on viewership, they're going to continue to do this, whether we want to do it or not, right? If they're in the red, then they're going to rethink it, But to Freddie's point, we're still primarily we are 100% a Southern sport on Easter Sunday when we're racing in the South like this. Man, I don't know. I think TV is going to dictate exactly everything. And to TJ's point, could we race on Saturday? Yeah, but there's only one Saturday race on our entire schedule this year, and the reason that is because ratings are down and they're bad on Saturdays. They're not what they are on Sunday afternoon. So it just sucks because I love turning on the TV and seeing a packed house and seeing American flags. We're a patriotic sport, and see so many great, synergies and cultures within the grandstands. And listen, there wasn't enough people there yesterday to start a campfire. So I don't know. It's just a bad look. I hate it. It sucks.
Well, Brian submitted a great Ask DBC question. Why won't NASCAR make full SMT data available to view regularly, whether by TV or by fans on a subscription basis? TV, and Larry Mack clearly has access to it remotely via web, so why can't we see it? Data tells a huge story on what makes guys last or the rule breakers.
Good question.
That's a really smart question.
I mean,
that's a great question.
I don't have an answer to that.
Freddie, but Freddie, the thing is, man, like you and I are sports nuts, right? We're sitting there watching Tyreek Hill run 22.8 miles an hour down a football field, or we're watching all these analytics that these, other broadcasts give us. I mean, this may be the best question we've ever been asked on here. If TJ can see it, if Kyle Busch can see it after the race, if the crew chief can see it, if Larry McReynolds can see it, why can't he see it?
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting. Like TV uses it for a lot. TV uses it for almost all of their scoring pylon. You'll see now. Used to be back in the day, the scoring pylon didn't change until they crossed the start finish line. Now it adjusts live in time. As a pass is made, it adjusts because of the SMT data, the box in there that's collecting data. So they use it for a lot. So I don't know why SMT and listen. There's talks that the teams won't be using SMT. Maybe in the near future, they might be having a different way to track this stuff through NASCAR. But I think TV's still going to use it. So I don't know. Maybe there's an avenue for them to make money if they want to put out I think it's Team Analytics is what it's really called. SMT's the company, I think. But maybe this is an avenue for them to make money, because I don't know why if it's available to everybody to watch, like all of us. There's war rooms across the sport that are watching every minute of every lap, of what's going on and what guys are doing with throttle trace. And like the thing that I would love for everybody to see one time is Denny Hamlin's throttle trace, which I don't know how.
Oh my gosh!
Like it looks like a heartbeat.
It's up and down. It's like a real fast heartbeat. Yeah. I mean, it is.
It's one of the most incredible things to watch, and you're like, because everybody else is kind of flatline, and you're like, what is he doing in there? Like, what's going on? But that stuff would be amazing for people to watch.
When Denny gets to the middle of the corner, it looks like he freaks out. Yeah. Like he's tapping his leg sitting at the table the entire time.
But yeah, I don't know why that's a very good question, and I don't know why they have not made it available yet. And it's not. You should get credit if they do start making money off of this.
Yeah, Brian. It's not as refined as what you think, though. It is. The Cup Series is refined for raw data stuff like brake, and even that though, everyone's sensor, like you might see. Somebody's brake sensor might show a lot more, but that's because they're not exactly the same. Like, they don't line up the same for every single car.
Yeah.
And restart zone stuff. There's the tracks that we see these things on. You'll go through, or you'll run the bottom somewhere and look like you're in the infield at times, because it's not the lines on the track that we see on SMT are not exactly they don't correlate exactly to the real track. So you wouldn't be able to line up a restart zone. You wouldn't be able to line up, things on like that nature. But you can see who fires first. And
we were watching. I was watching qualifying in the hauler on the SMT, and Bubba was in the second round. We were like head to head with Larson, and we're nose to nose in the 3. And the next thing I know, Bubba's like in the grandstands. Like it just darts off to the right. And you're like, holy shit, we wreck. What the hell just happened? You look at the TV and he's still digging.
Yeah.
And it catches back up. But so it's definitely not without its glitches. But.
Even with trucks and Xfinity have it, but it's not the same system, and it's accelerometers. So you go through the S's at COTA. I mean, your car's over here outside the track. Your car's over here. You can't tell what a guy does through the S's in a truck or Xfinity car at COTA, but it's not quite as refined as what you think it probably is. But if for the
still a great question, one of the best questions we've ever been asked.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's move on to What an Idiot. Freddie, would you like to kick things off?
Sure. I had a couple this week.
I'm sure you did.
First, I was going to give it to Brett, because Brett, how the hell do you get suspended off Instagram?
I mean, have you looked at this Twitter?
Dude, I literally said that. I mean, who was on our show?
Reddick.
Oh, it was Reddick. And I told Reddick you should dive bomb his ass talking about Chase Elliott. And Instagram said that I was promoting violence. I wasn't. I was promoting hard racing.
So you're telling me
hard racing, mind you.
Did Josh Berry dive bomb Suarez?
Yes. What an interesting deal that was. My one idiot. Only for the sole sake of the fact that he cost me DVC picks this week, I got to give it to Bubba. I mean, son of a brought a caution out with my guy leading. My guy was gone, going to win the race. We run a caution.
Been there many times.
Damn it.
I mean, there's. It's hard not to pick. You know, the easy go-to is probably Dawson Cram.
But in that wreck, for me, it's a toss-up. Obviously, Cram wrecks the hell out of him. You can't go down.
How is it a toss-up? You just said he wrecked the hell out of him.
Because you can't go down the racetrack while cars are driving by. We've seen this
all aftermath.
We've seen this turn out really, really poorly. Don't do it.
I'm not. I'm just talking about the way you drive through somebody.
Oh, no,
yeah,
for
you
sure.
wreck a race car for probably 25th, 28th, maybe if that. I don't know. You know, I'm giving Reddick an honorable mention here because he's down there doing his scooter ride at Richmond in the track walk segment, and I don't think he's even learning anything. I think he's doing it strictly for social media stuff.
Good.
Because I'm on the roof just hollering at him, Tyler, and every time I would yell Tyler, he'd look around, and he had no idea where I was. And it would actually turn into the funniest thing ever because he looked so confused. He kept asking, I think it was Jared. Would it have been Jared?
No, probably Tyler Anderson.
Maybe, but he'd be like, "Did you hear that?" He'd look around more, and I'd be like, "Tyler." He'd look again, and I gotta the picture that I was sent of Freddie. It looks like Freddie likes to sign pit roads. So
that needs to be tweeted out.
I retweeted it yesterday.
Yeah, that was an interesting.
Brett, you got an
deal
idiot
there.
Are y'all just going to ignore the person who spelled NASCAR wrong in the middle of the infield in the Xfinity Series sign?
Yes.
They fixed it on Saturday.
They did.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
NASCAR. NRSCAR. Like, not only are you a dip for painting it wrong, who is looking at this for quality control? We all have to be held to a standard, and whoever misspelled this and painted this is the biggest idiot in 2024 in our NASCAR world.
Maybe in NASCAR, Brett, but we are forgetting about something that happened. The different length 3-point lines in the college tournament.
God. Did you see that, Brett?
No, what happened?
What I forget.
It was in Washington.
One of the
right?
regions. One of the regions. The 3-point line was shorter on one end of the court than the other.
Yes.
No.
At the top of the key.
Listen, the Gamecocks needed that. That's what Gamecocks needed. We need shorter 3-point lines.
So at the top of the key, you can see a visible difference. It's probably like a foot and a half, something like that. And then, so the teams both just decided to play with it since they both have for half the game. But yeah, I don't know how you go to make a 3-point line on a court and make it different on both sides.
On a very serious, what an idiot note. Like, we cannot expect fans to read after the race that a driver, a car, a team had 2 or 3 lug nuts loose and hand a penalty down and not see a driver or see a driver jump the start at the end of the race and not be penalized. So I'm glad Denny won. I'm glad he helped my DBC picks. Obviously, I'm a Denny Hamlin fan. But if we're going to have rules and we can't enforce them, we may as well not have rules.
I do have an honorary what an idiot, and it was
what is it?
Anybody that
bought in
that fell for the bait earlier and took to social media to tweet about Denny's fine that's coming. That was an April Fool's joke. I apologize. We are recording on April 1st today. So anybody that took that bait and went right to Reddit or Twitter or wherever you stir your news up, you get my honorary what an idiot for this week.
TBD on who that is.
Yeah, we'll find out. I hope it's. I feel like it's going to be somebody. There's going to be somebody that was listening, and we did it early enough in the show where they're going to jump on there and say something. But it was fun to have fun for a little bit.
Congratulations, Brett.
Way to go, Brett.
Denny got you that win. We're taking picks from Martinsville, and I think I go first because Ty Gibbs really let me down.
Yeah, Casey goes first.
I mean, Ty had a great shot at it last week.
Great shot.
Anyways, I will pick Logano,
TJ.
Man,
He hadn't won there since 2018. That is a great
pick. I'm going to go with a guy who's arguably probably the best there right now, and that would be young Ryan Blaney.
Took my pick.
Ooh. He won the last time we were there. That pisses me off. I was going to take him.
Took my pick. I've had success with this guy at this racetrack, and I know he's angry, so I'll take Bubba Wallace.
Oh, I cannot believe
you're laying
y'all
up.
Just left me. No, y'all just left me Martin Truex Jr. on the table. He's pissed off. He's a great short track driver. He's won there. his last win wasn't that long ago. It was 2021. I'll go with Martin Truex Jr.
You've already
I'm
picked.
shooting
You
heavy,
already picked
boys.
him, Brett.
Did I?
No, I'm just kidding. April Fools. Should have let him.
Oh man, you should have
I'm
just
a
let
bottle
it
of
roll.
champagne in, man. You can't play jokes on me.
You should have just let it roll.
Speaking of jokes and fun stuff that we do here, we always get packages from fans, and I don't do a good enough job of highlighting them. And Brett, I don't know if you can see us, but we got some really impressive stuff this week. One box from our buddy Nicely, and I think Nicely might have sent all of this, but there was 2 different boxes, so I'm not 100% sure. So if you sent, we got a Fireball keg.
Yeah, there's a Fireball keg sitting here.
There's a keg of Fireball,
What?
which is exactly what
Yep.
we did not need. Hang on, I'll bring that up on the table here. We put it in your seat because we figured you could take it home. But yeah, so we got a keg of Fireball whiskey on the table now, which I hope somebody takes home and I never see again. They sent me a set of hair clippers, Nicely did, because I needed a haircut a couple weeks ago. TJ, what'd you get?
I finally got my boat.
You got a boat. TJ got a boat.
Yeah. I'm on a boat. My flippy floppies.
Speaking of boat, Casey.
Yep.
Casey,
I
what'd you
did.
get?
I got a $50 gift card. So you did me well because this is something I need, probably for my own sanity. So
Oh my gosh.
thank you.
And Brett, good news is Nicely sent something for you too. It's the note.
Okay.
The note says, "Enjoy Chicago, Brett," and he
Okay.
sent you a bulletproof vest. So I don't know. I don't know what that entails, but I guess maybe you seemed a little concerned about going there last year, so he's made sure you're going to be plenty safe when we get down there. So.
Well, that man, people have been tweeting me for the past year, making fun of me for being scared to go to Chicago. So thanks to that nice gift, I actually feel a lot more comfortable and am looking even more forward to going to Chicago, knowing that I have a bulletproof vest on. All I need now is like the level 3 helmet that Fortnite gives out or whatever it is.
Brett,
So
I
somebody
think
can
you're
send me a
gonna.
helmet, that'd be great.
I don't think it'll get worse than last year, Chicago with you. But I think you're gonna enjoy Chicago this year.
Of
I'm gonna
course.
make me and Freddie and TJ, if you'll come with us, a reservation at Gibson's, one of my favorite steakhouses to eat at, and I'll wear my bulletproof vest around, and we'll get us a good steak.
Maybe we can just do the DBC picks dinner there
Hey,
from last year.
I won't be there.
That's too damn bad.
Damn shame. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Casey, guess where I saw Chad at last week? Did he tell you?
No, I'm assuming Big Al's.
It was Big Al's.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Billy were eating lunch at Big Al's. So I left the show last week and got some honey ham wings, and there sat Chad and his dad. It was cool.
Chad
The
is
number,
dad.
Billy, the number of people who have said, "Hey, I saw Chad at lunch the other day," or "I saw him here the other day." He has yet to invite me to lunch. So, if you see him, be sure to ask him to invite me to lunch next time.
Take a hint.
Rude. Oh, well.
Where are we going this week?
We are headed to Martinsville. What?
I looked at the weather. Actually, Stevie Reeves on the way to the airport last night said, "Yep, typical NASCAR weekend. It's 80 all week, and then it's 50 when we get there, and then it goes right to 75 on Monday." So, and this race, I feel like Martinsville. I don't remember what year it was. It was not that long ago. It was the coldest I've ever been at a racetrack. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. It might have been a night race. I was freezing to death at that
Martinsville
place.
is one of those places where, man, you can get really cold, and it's usually windy as heck. That
Yeah.
flag blowing right behind you.
This was the first week I remember, and the modified race was super windy on Friday night, but this was the first week it hasn't been like a hurricane force wind on the roof during the Cup race, and I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, this year's been super windy. So,
But Saturday night, man, the Xfinity race is Saturday night, right, Casey?
yep.
That is correct.
7:30.
So it's going to be in the 30s or 40s, man. It's going to be cold. What package are we running? What tire are we running? Do we know?
Short track package for the Cup car. I don't know what tire.
Yeah, I don't know what tire.
It'll be fun. I hope. Like I said, we've tested here so much that the box has gotten so small. Hopefully we can pass. It's going to be a challenge with the shifting, but hopefully we can put the bumpers to people and get them out of the way. And when people make mistakes, that's the biggest thing. And we talked about it on road courses. You talk about there's no more mistakes. You don't make mistakes anymore. So we talk about wheel hopping into corners, and that doesn't happen. The guys, when you make a mistake in Martinsville now, you just downshift and take off again. It used to be like you'd slide up the hill and you'd be out of the groove and game over for you. You'd lose 10 spots because you're out of the groove. But now it's just, all right, let's run up the hill a little bit, drop a gear and take off, and you're back to you're driving away from the guys behind you. So we just need to get back to where mistakes are costly in this sport. And right now they're not there, but hopefully we can get there.
Well, definitely should be interesting.
Who wins? Who wins? Forget our DVC picks. Like, who is going to be the best car, you think? Or best manufacturers? Toyota still going to dominate?
Listen, Ford was really good here last year. This was probably one of their best tracks, I think. I remember Stewart-Haas cars were good in qualifying. Briscoe and Priest, I think, qualified up front. The Penske cars were good. Obviously, Toyotas are going to be good, I think. It's hard to say. I didn't remember Chevy. I'm not just remembering badly, but I don't remember Chevy being great here. Blaney dominated, right, the last race?
Yeah, Ryan's just been super good there.
But I feel like that was also towards the end of the season when Ford showed up more and Blaney showed.
Ryan's been really good at Martinsville for
always been
a few years now.
But yeah.
What do you think SVG's in Rude Awakening for? He's probably never seen this much pushing and shoving. It's coming.
Listen, they do some beating and banging in that sports car series, whatever, supercar series.
Yeah, but not
like this.
But they get penalized for it.
Yeah, well, that's what he said after the race. But I'm just saying it still happens. It's not like IMSA or something where they never get near each other. But I think, like I said earlier, like we've seen AJ really excel at this place.
But not right away though.
But AJ, I thought AJ was pretty good here.
He was okay, but he didn't just like run up front in his first Martinsville races. It takes a little bit of time.
Nobody does. But
I mean, how does him or even Carson, how do they prep for a race that they've really never done before?
You just get on the simulator and
the only thing
I think Bubba's going to get his ass kicked. Let's not pretend he's not going to get his ass kicked. Like he cannot go. If he's aggressive, they're going to wreck him.
Why?
Because these guys don't play. He's stepping into the grown man's world. This is going to be a big transition for him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's just got to be willing to give it back, and you can't get pushed around because that's what they're.
JRM's best finish all year is 6th.
Really?
So far,
yes. Bubba Pollard got the best finish of JRM all year, if what I read on the Twitter is correct.
So all they had to
obviously Justin Allgaier could have won Phoenix.
You're welcome.
All they had to do was bring TJ back to get their best finish of the year.
I'll tell you what, I'll do another one and take a little bit of time off again.
Super spotter.
He's hoping for more gift cards.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was good to seeing a bunch of DBC fans again this week in the garage, especially the garage layout at Richmond's really cool because they're all right there behind the garage stall, so you get a chance to see some buddies. I seen my buddy Jimmy Wags with his kids there yesterday. So it's good to see so many fans obviously every week, and I only got to hear one TJ sucks this week, which is disappointing.
I got a few on Twitter.
Oh,
so
did you? Okay,
don't worry, we made that for it.
But yeah, so it was a fun weekend, and anytime we get to meet some people is great. So we'll see you guys out in Martinsville this weekend, hopefully.
Cool. Thank you all for listening, and have a great week.
Word.
We out.
See ya.